rapid chess, and actually this is going to be a bit of a different stream. I had a cute idea in mind. First, if you notice, my voice is much clearer. That's because I finally got a USB cord for my Yeti, and it's working again. So I'm using my microphone now instead of the microphone I have for my camera, the Lenovo Pro webcam. So yeah, this technical specification means you can hear me much better now. Now we're playing a rapid game, so the concept of this stream is to actually, after this game, not only analyze the chess, but try to create a story out of the game. What story do I mean? We're talking about a kind of fiction story, maybe, about the game, the pieces, how they interact with each other. You'll have to wait for the analysis to see what I have in mind. The idea came to me like 3 hours ago, and I kind of thought about it a bit, and I liked it. Okay, speaking about the chess here, Bishop g5 is supposed to be a move that equalizes for me, for black. So I'm pretty happy here. There are many better moves. For example, knight takes c6, bishop e2, knight d5, transposing or trying to transpose into a Svechnikov. Anyway, he took here, and e5 is always met with queen a5. Yeah, he's misplaying this. And I have an attack here, and an attack here, and a potential attack here. So if he takes, I can pre-move this. Since this is 10 plus 0, rapid without an increment, let's pre-move queen takes g5, we don't lose anything. Yeah, and he'll take here, of course, or I'm pretty sure he will. Yeah, and I'm going to enjoy a pawn-up position. Yeah. Sorry, not a pawn-up. We'll be equal on pawns, but I'll enjoy the bishop pair advantage. And with his weakened overall structure, he's going to suffer. Like, for example, he can't really castle queenside because I bring my rook to b8, d5, d4 ideas. And castling kingside... Wow. Yeah, now he's choosing... Why did he not capture here? That is extremely strange. So I don't think there's a reason not to do this. So let's do it. Now I'm simply up a pawn and have the bishop pair. So yeah, I'm pretty much winning. Hello, MWH96. So MWH96, I don't know if you heard, but I'm going after this game to try to create some sort of chess story out of this. You'll have to see. We'll have to see after the game finishes. And okay, now I have to convert in this endgame. It's not going to be easy. Yeah, for example, here I'm very much tempted to simply take. At the same time, though, I don't really feel the need to. Yeah, I could, like, I have a pawn up, so so that should be good. Like, I have these doubled pawns. They might be a weakness, but actually in this case, with the open g file and the control over e5 I have, they're more of a strength. Of course, d5 comes to mind. d5 preventing knight e4, which would be annoying, trying to go to these squares. So yeah, I might want to try that. Huh. d5. Or I could take and go into an endgame. His pawns, in contrast, here if I take, they would be pretty bad. Because, okay, they do offer some center, one of them offers some central control, but I mean they're easily attacked by a potential rook. That's far off in the future. Okay, I also have the plan d5, bishop d7, king e7, and to put the rooks on the b file. Now if bishop d3, this pawn is always weak, but I can always play h6. Okay, I've made up my mind. Let's not lose the bishop pair here for no reason. No, not no reason, I get the doubled pawns. Hello Nsamo. Welcome Nsamo. Okay, it's saying my opponent has left the game and I can claim a victory in X amount of seconds. Okay. I mean, of course I would have liked to continue the game. We won't be waiting around too long. I think I'll claim victory in the allotted time if he doesn't come back. Hopefully he does come back. Now connection issue and okay, it seems he's back, thankfully. So we're going to continue to play this game. Still waiting for him to move. Hello Nsamo, what's up with this game? Yeah, it's a random rapid game, and I want to do something interesting I thought of doing after the analysis. We're going to do something interesting, a chess story. I'm going to try to create a chess story out of this game. Let's see how creative we can get. Okay. Maybe he's trying to gun for this, which is rather interesting. Yeah, so for example, bishop f3, and the rook comes here. Having said that, rook here isn't at all clear because, I mean, bishop f3 and... Okay, so the point is, let's say I play bishop d7. He goes bishop f3, I go king e7, he goes... my god, the arrows. Okay, let's try to do this again. Bishop d7, bishop f3, king e7, rook h2 e1, right? And if I, let's say, move the rook here or something, or the other rook, he can maybe try to take here, making use of the pin. But the thing is, I can't take back, and I always have this under attack, so I don't really think this is a threat. So I'll just play bishop d7 for now. And yeah, him bringing the bishop here also doesn't bother me as much. First of all, he's kind of blocking in his pawn, which might be... Oh, yeah, now he doesn't. Now he does it, okay. It's quite interesting. Okay, let's keep my king flexible. I don't want to play king e7 and maybe run into these ideas. I mean, this isn't an endgame yet. So let's keep things flexible for now. Should I play h5? Nah. I always have the possibility to do this, so I'm not so worried. I was wondering about h5 because now if f5, e5... Of course, after f5 I don't want to take. I do win a pawn, but it's doubled pawns. No, it's just allergies and some. Yeah, I need to clear my nose. Stopping chess for training purposes. So you're going to be working on your chess in Samo? Yeah, here. I don't like it. I don't like king e7 because of this. I don't want my king to be so much in the center. At the same time, I'm not really seeing his threat. Now, one potential line, King e7, here, rook, or rather rook maybe, like takes or rook takes with check. Rook takes, I mean, and I take back and he takes with check. That could be very dangerous. Okay, still, let's do this. Okay, he does do this. Yeah, so let's cover this bishop, I guess. And try to move out of the way with the king. I really need to clear up my nostrils. Okay. This maybe? No, this I would really drop the pawn. Let's get out of the pin then. Maybe he's trying for rook g3. Rook g3 though, then I go here. Okay, he's trying to break the pin this way. Okay, but I have this, and after this, I attack f4. Yeah, I attack f4 and I have a5 coming. Okay, he doesn't seem to care about f4. The bishop, the rook here, okay. Yeah, let's cover knight c5. Maybe I play c5 myself now. If c4, c5 would make a lot of sense. Yeah, so he's trying to get some attack here. I could play e5. Yeah, why not? Attack the rook. Yeah, I'm thinking of just muting myself and trying to... Okay, so he's really trying to come in here. That's quite a good move, I think. Let's play this. He does have this though. Starting to misplay this a bit. His rook coming to c5 is a bit annoying, but not the end of the world. I'm still up 2 pawns, of course. Another game after this one? No, unfortunately, in Samo. Some other time. I could also not take. I could just retreat. Yeah, let's retreat. Why take? Why remove this beautiful dark squared bishop? For now, I'm happy. I want to play a5. Though a5 is not such an easy decision to make, huh? Because he could try to take and try to hold on to the pawn. Yeah. Okay, we need to defend this guy. So let's go back here. And if he brings this here... Okay, let me mute myself. Okay, so muted myself a bit there, just to clear my throat a bit. I think I'm going to also need to close off the camera a bit. Okay, don't see an easy way to do that. So let's finish up the game, then we do it. Yeah, that's a clever move. Okay, let's do this then. To be able to play this. Okay. Yeah, but now I take, I think. And I can check. Take here. And pick up this guy. And yeah, this should be completely winning. Let's try not to mess it up. Need to be careful about this, but he's not having any ideas here. And I'll just push the pawns. Okay, if here I go check, I guess. Yeah, should be good. Yeah, so his rook is kind of trapped as well. I could just bring in my king. And this should even trap the rook. Right? His rook is trapped, yeah? Okay, and he resigns. So, let me just 1 second close off the stream. Or... really confused here. Yeah, let's close off the stream 1 second. I'll be back. Yeah. Okay, so let's analyze the game first, the chess part. So, the chess part. Yeah. Yeah, it's really annoying when it happens on stream because no one wants to hear me sniffling. Or maybe someone does. I don't know. So yeah, that was a pretty smooth game, I would say. Talking about the opening, bishop g5. See, the engine even says it equalizes for me. It gives 0-0 here. So yeah, that's just not a good move. Let me just see the setup. Yeah, this way is better. Okay. So here instead you have this, aiming to go for this line. Now this is a very complicated line in the 4 knights, so what I'm doing here, this opening is called the 4 knights attack, the 4 knights defense in the e6 Sicilian. It's a very rare opening. The point is to get a better Svechnikov by avoiding more lines. So here after knight d5 threatening a check, so you play d6, bishop f4, you prevent the bishop from taking d6, so he plays bishop g5, you go here. As you can see, we've transposed into the Svechnikov being this opening. Bear with me. And here. And this is the Svechnikov. It's this exact same position here. Let me add in b5. So here on move 8, it's b5. Here on move 9, it's b5. But white wastes a tempo and black wastes a tempo. And it ends up being the same opening. So the sole point here is that in the Svechnikov, after d6, there's this line. This line has been played by Caruana against Magnus, most famously in their 2018 World Championship match. And yeah, this is an annoying line for black because it offers white some attacking chances. It hasn't been worked out as much as bishop g5 as well. So for that reason, my move order avoids it, because now there's simply no knight d5 because I played e6, so he's forced to play the bishop g5 line. So that's the point of my opening. So one way is to transpose back to the Svechnikov. Another way, which is the way to exploit my move order, is to take on c6, and after takes, play e5, knight d5, knight e4, queen c7, f4, queen b6, c4, and there is a lot of theory here. I'll just continue a bit. After the check, you don't block here, because then I come in with my queen and pick up this pawn. How does that happen? This way. So takes, takes, and I can simply take here, and I'm up a pawn. So what happens here after c4 is king e2 is forced, and this is supposed to give white an advantage, but it's not at all easy to play for white. I'm not going to delve, of course, into the theory here. So yeah. So anyway, these are possibilities. Also, I mentioned bishop e2, which after bishop b4 you castle, and this is a gambit line. You gambit this pawn. Actually, you could potentially gambit 2 pawns, but you get a lot of activity here. So yeah, okay, all of this is theory. Anyway, bishop g5, I equalize. And here your best bet is to continue with bishop d3, simply defending. So that's one way kind of out of this opening. But e5 is a mistake, because after this I can simply take here. Now also notice that, for example, after this I just take with check, and let's say he takes here. I don't take back, I take here first, and only after this I have this, of course, which would be mating. Or if this, I win the queen. Okay, so here I take, and here he should, of course, take here and then play this, breaking the pin. And okay, the game kind of continues from here. Eyes are a bit watery as well. Yeah. It's not seasonal allergies though. It's not seasonal allergies. Okay. So he played queen f3, giving up the pawn. And here I could have, yeah, I mentioned this. Let's look. Wow, the graph. Yeah, I really didn't make a mistake here. Yeah, it's easy to convert this. I was talking briefly about this immediately. So instead of this, and something like this, probably I can take here. And yeah, this is nowhere near enough. Yeah. So yeah, not really much to talk about in this game. From the chess perspective, yeah, here I didn't want to take, allowing rook takes. Seems a bit annoying to break down the structure. So I thought, let's keep the rook, let's keep everything. And here after this, I was intending to play f5, g4, just f4. So he cleverly played g4, because if I'm not careful, let's say I do this, he can play this now. But I was careful, and I noticed this. Then he came here, but here I was able to simplify, check, forcing the king here, forcing the defense away from this, and now just push. Okay, and here I was able to trap the rook. Yeah, he should have checked. Actually, I didn't notice he could pick up this. Ooh, that was stupid. Still, I'm completely winning, of course. I bring my king up, of course, because this is an endgame. You want your king to be active. And after takes, I mean, this is simply over. The pawns are coming in. I have a beautiful mass of pawns. He has a passed pawn here, and one here, but they're not enough. They're too slow. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. Anyway, so for the concept of the stream, I wanted to try to make a story out of this game. So let's try to do it. Let me just look at the game again. Try to come up with something. Yeah. Okay. So, at first, at the beginning, there were two sides. Both of them were not really opposed to each other, they just coexisted in this place. But at some point, White had this idea to expand. Expansion, White thought. This White King, he's a malevolent man. He thought that expansion was key. He wanted to expand his army and explore new territory. Now there was this dividing line between them. This line, if we can draw it here. There was this line. Pieces rarely crossed this line, but some were trying to. So first, the pawn gets out, and he wants to cross this line. He wants to explore this new land. Both of them have never interacted with each other. So, Black sets out a scout. The Black King doesn't want to really directly confront this pawn. He wants to look at this pawn from the side. So he sends this pawn. Having seen the danger of potentially crossing here and being sniped by the bishop, the knight decides to join in the action. And the knight here, it's really trying to come in on this line of demarcation and try to explore this new zone, this new territory. Black also has the same ambitions. He plays knight c6, wanting to try to explore this new territory, but not immediately, because this knight would take it. So the pawn instead comes here, trying to go also to d5 to pass this line of demarcation, this neutralization zone. Thank you, Samu. So what is Black to do here? What can he do? He decides that it's time to fight fire with fire. So during this entire war, let's call it, this entire skirmish rather, no bloodshed has been noted. But now it's time finally for some blood, and the first situation is instigated. This pawn kills its brethren, and its brethren dies on the field in a very atrocious way. So what does the knight do? The knight thinks to itself, if I kill it back and the knight kills me, then the queen will finally kill the knight, and after all is said and done, we'd have killed more soldiers. So White is happy. He's happy. Look at his face. The king is happy. So he decides to order his knight, the cavalry, to take. Now Black sees this. He doesn't want to fall victim to this queen. Of course not. The queen would be a treacherous maiden. So he brings in this pawn. This little pawn. It has some ambitions. It seems like it's very afraid at first, but it really has some nice ambitions, because after knight f5 it wants to even kill the knight. This pawn really loved the c pawn. So this c pawn is gone. So this pawn really loved it, and it wants to try to avenge its lost brother. Atrocities, yes. Atrocious. So, this pawn, it seems meek, but it has certain ambitions in mind. So, the knight, another knight comes in. Now the knights are galloping around. These horses, they're galloping around. Galloping around and just enjoying the scenery. But they do not forget their fallen brothers. They do not forget their fallen brothers. And at this time, they're thinking to themselves, was all of this really necessary? What are we getting into? I mean, if we go back just 5 centuries ago, or rather, let's say 5 years ago. So each move is a year. 5 years ago, there was no interaction between these two peoples, and it was just calmness. It was all serene. But then one pawn decided to follow the king's orders and march into no man's land. And that pawn might pay the price soon. So, 5 years later, look at the situation. We have two knights out of the battlefield, kind of cornering each other. We have a pawn that doesn't know when its friendly knight will leave it and just let this knight kill it. So all of these pieces are afraid of each other, of their fellow man. Yes, and Samo adds a beautiful twist to the story. The ambition of this e6 pawn is to come to d5, and after and when it's on d5, it's one square closer to walking through this line. So the knight comes to f6, and the bishop comes to g5. Finally, the bishop, the chancellor, the overseer of the common good, it crosses the line of demarcation. It's sent as a message of peace. This king, he may be malevolent, but he's first sending a message of peace, like, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to do anything bad. And black in turn tries to accept this message. So he sends another messenger, the bishop to b4, also getting out of this line. So he's now in white's territory, and this guy is in black's territory. They're sending messages to each other of peace, of love. But white here, the white king, it's evil. It's evil. It orders its knight, just kill the other knight. And this knight is wondering, what would happen to me if I kill it? King, I mean, I know you have such power and such knowledge of such prescience, but what would happen to me if I just killed off this knight? He says, "Oh, don't worry. We'll fix everything." He says, "Okay, fine, I'll do it. I have to. I don't have any other choice." Do you guys know what would happen to this knight if he didn't oblige? The king would tell his queen, "Oh, queen, just move away from here," and this knight would get killed. So that's how the knight is threatened. He's threatened with death on one hand and death on the other. And unfortunately, this knight, it kills this knight, and now black has to kill it back. It has no other choice. Okay, so trying to see in Samu's twist on this story. So, hatred was built upon mistakes accumulated by the years, which led eventually to a deadly war. And Samu is right, and Samu is right. There were some tensions, even though everything seemed peaceful here. Everything seemed peaceful. But no, there were some tensions. People just looking from afar, they felt the tension of these two empires. The bishop, such a noble piece, by pinning, he is saying, I have the power of pinning you, stopping you from moving. I can hurt you, but I don't want to kill you. That's a brilliant twist in Samo. So these messengers, they're set out as messengers of peace. But what peace is this? He's trying to kill the knight at whatever point. He's saying to black, if you move your queen and you move your pawn here, I'm going to kill your knight and you can do nothing about it. You can't kill me back. So that's what white is saying. It's a messenger of peace, but what kind of peace is this? And white obliges. If you move this pawn, I'm going to kill your knight. I'm going to kill your knight, whatever you do. And here, this poor knight, it gets lost in this cataclysm of epic proportions. And now what happens? The pawn, seeing that its brethren, the bishop, the messenger of peace, has been on e5, it's time for it also to experience this line. It goes in. But unfortunately, it doesn't know what happens after this impudence by it. So now the queen, look at the queen. It's protecting the knight. Now the pawn is really aggressively attacking it. The bishop is there, it's a messenger of peace, it's just waving its sword. Oh yeah, I won't kill you, but you know, anything wrong and you might see an end to that. And the pawn though, the pawn is like, oh yeah, I'm definitely attacking you, knight. You best be careful. You best be careful, knight. And the knight is screaming here. It's being attacked twice. And it thinks this bishop is a bishop that's a very peaceful piece. But I mean, there's this pawn over here. So it's kind of confused and scared for its life. So desperately cries out, oh queen, if my life has to be lost in this savage war, at least avenge me, at least do something for me. And the queen obliges. It says, don't worry, knight, don't worry. I'm going to go on a trip and come back with victory on my hands. So it goes to a5. It goes in. It's supporting the bishop of peace, but there's no peace to be had. And the pawn, it's like really excited. It's so happy it can finally do something, and it takes the knight. And the bishop here is wondering, okay, life seems to be pretty okay here. I was spinning the knight, I have such power, but now things start seeming a bit airy. Oh wait, I'm staring. He's staring. He was like looking here at the knight, looking back, looking at his home, his sweet home over here with the castle. He was looking at all of this, but then he looks sideways. Whoa! He stares at the queen's eyes, and the queen's eyes are infuriated. How dare you? How dare you kill off the f6 knight? How dare you kill off my friend? And the queen, just with no remorse at all, snaps off the bishop. And Samo adds, the queen had enough from this war. She thought she should enter the war and take matter into her own hands. Exactly, in Samo. The queen had enough. She was staring at the backline. She was like sitting here in the monarchy. The king was like, don't worry, queen. This will all be over very soon. Don't do anything rash. Let's calm down. Let's enjoy ourselves in our castle. And the queen is like, I can't enjoy myself while my subjects are getting killed. Look at the pawn. It's trying to kill our knight. It's going to invade our land. So the queen takes matters into her own hands. She goes out of the way. And snipes off the bishop. Now this pawn, it's really afraid now. It killed off this knight, but its friend, the bishop, it got enraged by the queen. It got enraged by what this pawn did, and he killed off his bishop. So he's thinking to himself, I better be calm here. I better call in reinforcements, because if I'm going to take this pawn here, if I'm going to kill off one more pawn, I might be the one who gets killed. So he calls in reinforcement. He tries to shout a bit, it's not getting heard, it's not getting heard, it's not getting heard. But then he finally shouts enough, and this pawn hears it. The pawn, the loyal subject of the king, he sends the message over to the queen. Queen, come support this pawn. And the queen desperately tries to help. But little does this pawn know that there is always this pawn helping the queen out. So there is no way out of this. There's no way out of this, and this pawn also loses its life for what it has done to the poor f6 knight. Uneven. The queen is merciless. This queen, they took one knight, just one knight, but the queen took both of these. So the queen was merciless. And in turn, the queen offers herself up. Let's end this. I've killed too many people. I don't want to see this war anymore. This war has driven us to points of madness. And this queen as well, it's thinking it was really happy here with its king by the side. But the king doesn't friggin' care about it. The king is so malevolent. He only wants to see bloodshed. He secretly likes this. He really enjoys this. So the queen goes out of the way. They're both thinking, let's end this. Let's end this now. Let's both take our own lives and finally not see the ravages of this war. Okay, and someone's adding another twist to the story. The queen was pinned by the bishop, the messenger of peace. But little did the bishop know, the queens do a tricky maneuver from d8, running to a5, and lurking to eat the bishop on g5, proving that whoever messes with the queen gets eaten. Exactly. So here, don't mess with the queen. It's pinned. It was pinned here. The knight was getting attacked, but also if the knight moves, the bishop of peace, the messenger of peace, would have killed the queen. So the queen, it's thinking to herself, she's thinking to herself, you're not going to do that, Mr. Bishop. You're not going to be the one to kill me. So the queen will kill it first, and it does. It kills the bishop first. And here, it's just brutal. So both of these queens have seen far too much, and they decide to end this. They decide to end it. And here it does end. Both of them have died in this war. The king is distraught. The king is utterly distraught. It does not know what to do. It's so sad without its queen. While this king, he does not care. He was the one who started the war. He knew what could have happened. And he does not care, very simply. So, he gets out of the way. He runs out. He says to the rook, come in, my friend. And he thinks to himself, why should the rook come in and I stay here in the center? Let's try to hide. The king wants to hide. He seems like a strong man, but all he's doing is just manipulating these pieces. But if threats came to him, if danger came to him, if this knight moved, he would die. So he's a really afraid piece. He's a really scared piece. So he goes out of the way. He might seem powerful, but he's really a scared piece. And the pawn here comes in. The pawn is all too silent on d7. It says, since this pawn moved 2 squares here, I can do the same. And I can start maybe attacking this knight to avenge the last knight on f6. So the bishop comes to e2, the messenger of peace. It wanted to go further, but it's slow rolling it now. It maybe wants to go here and start to threaten the own king. So just taking things very slowly. The bishop as well, following suit, just taking things very, very slowly. Without guns, just arms and fists like brave wars. So black, yeah, doesn't want to use heavy artillery. Not yet, at least. He wants to keep everything calm and just take the war in his own hands. He sees, black knows, he has more soldiers. One extra soldier and 2 messengers instead of 1 messenger and 1 cavalry. So black sees his advantages growing. So he decides to start taking matters into his own hand. For now, he's calm. But he's provoked. Another pawn is coming to f4. Another pawn is moving 2 squares forward. Black starts to think, what if all of these pawns move 2 squares forward? What if this pawn moved 2 squares with this pawn? And this pawn moved 2 squares. This pawn. What would happen then? Black is not satisfied with this. So he starts thinking, let's bring in the artillery. This king is so scared. It thinks, oh yeah, I'm safe over here. Sure you are, king. You're safe over here. But what if I bring this artillery, this heavy catapult? It can throw so many weapons at this pawn protecting you. And if this soldier decides not to protect you, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So it does so. Black does so. Now the bishop here, it notices this threat and it's starting to come in. It's starting to attack this king. It's thinking to itself, oh yeah, I'm going to enjoy this. If this pawn moves, let's say this pawn moves here, I'm going to snipe the enemy king and this king will reward me with a lot of gold. But it doesn't know that its reward will be death. It might have killed the enemy king, but it would be rewarded by the catapults just munching on it. And that would mean the war would end, but also this bishop's life would end. So this bishop is just a poor bishop, doesn't know what it's going to do. Now the king, I kind of ruined the story here. So the king here, it's really seeing this threat on it by the bishop, and it just comes out. The king thinks, okay, my queen was so brave, it got out, and I'm a king, I'm vulnerable, everyone wants to kill me, all of these pieces want to kill me. This bishop had the strength to come to this square and try to eat me from my own castle where I'm protected, from my own territory. It had this bravery, this impunity, this utter madness, this impudence, this pride. It had this bishop, this pride to come to eat me from here. So I must take matters into my own hands. I know it's dangerous. I know it's going to be dangerous. But I'm going to fight to get the way out of this. Having seen this excitement by the king, this power that this king has, the catapult, the mad catapult, it wants to throw its heavy artillery here. What has gone now? And Samo is adding, white has gone all in with f4. They see that they are losing the war, and when you don't give the enemy room for breathing, they feel like they're gonna lose, and they become either deadly or foolish. That is something taken from the Art of War by Sun Tzu. So f4, just becoming rash. White sees that he is down, so he just becomes rash, he goes insane. And here we get to see the catapult coming in. The king is not afraid for now. It has protection from the soldiers. And unlike this king values its soldiers. It knows that the soldiers will protect it no matter what. And the catapult now is coming to support the soldiers. All of these pieces are working together. Look at this bishop. It's working all alone. It's a reflection of this king. This king is so narcissistic. He doesn't care about any single pawn, any single piece. He didn't care about his own queen. He sent it to protect a mere soldier. Not because he's so nice and he wants to protect all soldiers, but because he doesn't care. He just wants to see victory, no matter who pays the price. Even his wife paid the price. So that this king And this bishop is a reflection of this king. It works alone. It works alone. And these catapults, they're brothers and sisters, but they will also soon learn to work alone, because this is such a divisive empire. Everyone hates each other secretly. It's an empire ridden with the sickness of greed. But look at this empire. They're all collectivist. They work together. They're trying to help each other. They want to win the war, but not at all costs. They want simply to win, just to exterminate this greed, this corruption from this empire. The empire heralded by this very mad king, the Mad King. So brothers and sisters, that's what they said. But now the rook is chasing after glory as well. It's not coming here to support the bishop. It just wants glory. Glory given to it by this king. This malevolent king. This evil king. This despicable king. This fiend. This bloodthirsty ghoul. What a king. Ha! It would make for such a mockery to call this guy a king. But he behaves like one. He certainly does the act well. But he's no king. He's no king because he can't even rule himself. Because he's scared. He's afraid. He's trying to hide behind his pawns. But for how long will they be loyal? How long will they support him? Who is he for them to support him? And this question starts being asked too late in the war. The war was waged in his name. All of these people died on the battlefield. The cavalry, the bishops, the queens, the wives, they died on the battlefield. And no one asked, why? Why are we doing this? What has war made of us? Has it made us any less human? The king here sees all of this and it decides this rook is trying to also chase glory as well. It doesn't care about its sister on d3. So let's get out of the way. Let's play this. Let's take this one step at a time. Yes, and Samo, Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Everyone should read it. As the war goes on, people and soldiers realize that there is no chance of peace, and death shall be the fate of such violent decisions and massacres. Yes, as Samo says, it's too late at this point to go back. And this is something from Simone Weil. We were talking about Sun Tzu, now we're talking about Simone Weil. This is something very important. When you're too deep in the war, you can't go back. There's no option. You'd rather die than go back, because you're too deep in. You've just lost so much, you don't care about it. You can lose everything else. You just lost too much. Too many people here have perished to this sick disease of war. And now it has come the time to prove who will be the victor, who will conquer the other. a3 is played. This little pawn is a friend of this king. It wants to gain glory as well. It wants to kill the messenger. But oh, don't kill the messenger. The messenger is too quick for you. The messenger is too quick. Oh, b-pawn. You don't know what you're getting into. This messenger is too quick. It's going, you sent it. So these pawns, look at them. They only care about themselves. They noticed these two pieces were adding pressure to them. So they just removed one of them. But when they removed one of them, and the knight here only selfishly going after this square to attack this messenger and try to eat this king, only then did they notice that they let a pawn die. And in this process, the king is threatened. The king is red. Whoa, the king is red. He feels ashamed. He must feel ashamed for what he's done. He instigated all of this madness. Does he not feel any shame? Of course he does not. The king is a fool. He does not feel shame. He's only red from the potential blood he would expel had this bishop taken him. But he doesn't feel anything. He doesn't care. He only cares about glory. He only cares not even about glory, about winning, about conquering, about becoming the greatest at the expense of others. So he simply goes out of the way. He wants nothing to do with this rook. For the moment, this rook is blocked in by so many pieces. So it thinks the space is a nice space. It's safe. Sure, it's safe. Now black just runs away. The bishop has done its job. It wants to go back to the king. Look at this collectivist society. They help each other. They're always there for each other. The bishop did its job and now it's returning. And here it's also stopping the knight from just coming in and trying to destroy the black army. The rook again coming here, not to support this bishop. Oh no, it's chasing glory for itself. It doesn't want the bishop to try to eat this pawn. It doesn't want to let this bishop do a maneuver and eat this pawn. It wants to eat it itself. How evil. But now the bishop here, the messenger, it sees it from afar and notices that this rook, haha, it's doing some bad things over there. It needs to be stopped at all costs. So the pawn is pushed forward. And the rook here, it comes in. It comes in to another pawn. It's trying, it's really confused. I want to eat this pawn. I don't know what I want to do. I just want to do something. Okay. Maybe if I support this knight, I can try to take this pawn. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. After the bishop, and Samo was saying, after the bishop running and lurking away from the empty attacks of the pawns, the structure a3 b4 becomes weak. Now they feel stupid. Not acting before thinking, but that's too late. Pawns never move backward. Such is the rule of war. I love this. I love this addition. These pawns here, they moved forward. They moved forward too soon. But the soldiers, they cannot retreat. When your soldier is in, it's over. It's there forever. It cannot go back. It must either go in and fight and become something else and transfigure itself into something more powerful, transform itself, or it will have to die in the battlefield, in the corners of the battlefield. So let's go pick up the pace here, and the rook comes in. It's really all of these pieces trying to stop this knight from coming in. But finally this bishop, it realizes it's been sitting here for far too long. What am I doing here? It starts to wonder. I wanted to take the king, but that's not going to happen. And this pawn is protected by the king. This king is so annoying. Boy, do I hate this king. Okay, let's try to annoy one of his subjects. Let's try to attack the catapult. The catapult unfortunately notices the errors of its ways, and it has to retreat. It really tried to help, but it couldn't do anything. And now the knight finally comes in. Oh, poor catapult. The knight comes in, but the bishop says, Catapult, you were so nice. You tried to protect my life. So I will do so. I will not let your goal go unaccounted for. I will not let your wish go unfulfilled. So I will go back. I will retreat. And the rook now, this brother here, it's noticing its sister being so active, and the king is so happy of this rook, so happy from it. So what's it going to do? It starts to decide. It decides, oh yeah, I'm going to use my powers here. So its sister was thinking, hey, maybe I come here, but no. The rook says, hold on, let your big brother come in here, and then you can follow me. You can follow me maybe. But look at this king. This king is such a nice king. It's not afraid. It's never afraid. It goes back to the center just to defend this lone pawn. This weak pawn. This pawn, it's defended by the friggin' king. Wow. So the pawn is pushed forward. The sister asks, why can't I go here and start attacking this pawn? The brother just laughs. The pawn can go forward with impunity thanks to this messenger. This messenger lurking in the corners, trying to protect the pawn. Awesome, he says. So now, what's white to do? He tries to stop this pawn from coming here, to stop this messenger from having so much power. So much power. But the pawn here, it says to the sister, you must keep being backward. You must not defend the square. You must not attack this pawn. You will not attack my friend. I was with him here. Look at here. Look at it here. We were brothers and sisters here. We were eating the same meals. And when I move forward, I will protect this pawn. I will not forget our sisterhood and brotherhood. The rook doesn't care. It sees this pawn so alone by itself, and it decides, haha, now's the time to kill this soldier. This poor baby soldier. It's barely a neophyte in the art of war. But it must be killed because this rook is after glory. It's going here, going back. It doesn't know what to do. It just wants to chase glory, wants to make this king happy, but the king is never happy. Poor rook. So what happens now? The bishop finally kills off the knight. The king decides, this configuration, something's not right about it. This piece is all alone. This piece is all alone. These pieces aren't really interacting with this king. Now is the time to capitulate, to win something. It kills the knight. The messenger is killed though, unfortunately. But the rook dives in. The catapult dives in. And the other catapult is killed, the brother. But the bishop captures it. But now, finally, after all of this, another soldier is won. The one on g4. The impudent soldier. And the rook now comes in here and takes the pawn. It achieved its goal. Look at this goal. Look at this friggin' rook. It was just wanted, oh yeah, I'm going to take this pawn. Well, if I told you were going to take this pawn, but lose all of your friends in return, the friggin' rook lost its brother. It doesn't care though. It won the pawn. But now it's starting to feel some regret, some shred of remorse, some shred of sadness at its decisions, some regret. Regret is starting to seep into its soul. And it's not looking good. It's not looking good for the poor rook. The pawn is marched forward. This alliance of pawns, this march of pawns going forward. At year 25, says in Samo. Year 25, we have to go back. We're in year 32. Let's go back to year 25. After the start of the war, black forces thought a strategic plan of sacrificing the soldier a5 to injure the enemy pawns, but realized, yes, a5 here, a sacrifice, but they realized just little after that with the help of the knight and the messenger help might come to the brave soldiers and they might annoy the black forces. Exactly. So here they want to take this pawn, but the messenger will help it. The knight, the annoying knight and the messenger will help it. And this pawn will become a thorn pawn, kind of. Some annoying pawn. So in year 25, they decided against sacrificing this pawn. Look at black. It doesn't sacrifice its pawns willy-nilly. It has to have something in mind. Look at this. It only sacrificed this pawn because it was going to eliminate all of these pawns and bring back this pawn. This pawn was brave. It barely did anything. It barely moved. But it changed the course of the war in its entirety. It made this armada of pawns unstoppable. This phalanx of pawns, they're going to march and utterly destroy the White King. One of them marches first. Now this pawn is trying to go for glory itself, but it's a lone pawn. Look at this greedy rook. It saw all of its pieces, all of its friends die in war. What remains is this greedy bishop as well. All what remains are these greedy pieces. These three greedy pieces. If we go back to what year? Let's go back Let's go back to the year 22. The bishop here, the rook, all of these very greedy pieces. The king, the greediest piece of all. They are the sole survivors. They are the greedy ones. But do they not know that their death will soon come as well? Oh yes, the king is coming in. It wants to simply just annihilate this rook. And this rook starts to wonder, yes, this pawn is coming in, but at the same time I kind of feel locked in. I don't have many squares. If I go here, the catapult is going to take me. If I go here, the king is going to take me. What am I to do? So it doesn't see a way out. It doesn't notice that there's this way out. It forgets about it. But why does it forget when its life is on the line? Because it wants to forget. It wants this war to be over with. It has done too many wrongs. It has committed too many terrors. So the king marches in. And with that, the rook dies. And the king finally realizes, without any subjects, what can I do? And the rook just tells him, well, king, after my death, you are going to be left with your greediest subject of all, and I hope that these pawns show some mercy on your poor soul. And with that, the greedy king, he doesn't feel repentant still, but when these 3 pawns ravish his soul, oh, believe me, his tortured cries, they will make a man of a soul. Is this a drunk stream? Does a poet seem drunk to you, Beiluf? This is not a drunk stream. This is a stream about valor, about wars, about the epitome of human existence. The greedy rook dies of its sins, exactly. And with that, I'll be ending the stream, guys. Take care.